how are you tackling the images of women in magazines as the person in charge of content?
You know, even within the Latino culture, we have a tendency of leaving out the people who don't look like the mainstream Latino, for lack of a better term, who lacks the more Anglo look, let's say. Let me give you an example. We did a story, a travel story, and the image that was chosen was an image of an Anglo woman wearing one of the traditional outfits of Peruvian Native women. And in the background, what happened was that there were the two Native women, but their faces were blurred, so that what you saw was the two Anglo women, front and center. And that's an example of how even within the Latino mindset, we can, we forget, because we've, in a way, been colonized by a lot of the European traditions that we're behaving in that same way. And so what I do specifically, for example, is literally, we've set up immediately a task force within the office so that there's always a different set of eyes coming in and making sure that the story has included, that it doesn't have some very quick summary of the experience, but rather that it sort of takes the time to allow for the full true story, and the one that doesn't really, that maybe doesn't seem as interesting at first, but that actually is where the real meat of the story is, and that the images that we're including also, don't quickly assume this point of view that has that Anglo-European Western mindset. So wow. That's just one example, but but this comes up a lot for us. So another example is the this big runway trend right now is what's being called the chola look. And cholas are one of the things cholas are basically, it's I guess at one point it was some sort of it's like a Chicana,
East LA,
very East LA, but people often associate it with like the gang member, women who are members of gangs, and on the staff you had one side who thought, wow, the chola look is now on the runways. What a major coup that this is. This was the outsider group now taking front and center. Another group thought, you know what? This is not okay, because who is walking the runway? Well, not actual cholas, so it's not, the women who actually created this look and movement aren't the ones now speaking to the general mainstream culture. It's someone else. And so what we did was we included we had a piece to talk about cultural appropriation, essentially, and that's a sort of a way that we're trying to give sort of the readers what they want to see, but then also give us a background and a context. And I think that's the sort of the best you can do right now.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.